Hey everybody, I'm Jody Vance.
And I'm George Affleck.
And it is time for...
UnSpun, a poll-free zone.
I would like to take a poll. Explain.
I have so much hair now. I have lots. I've been growing it for 7 weeks. I can really pull it out now.
Yeah, you're rocking your 70s look. Right?
It's going to be feathered over my ear pods here.
That's right. And then you'll be wearing acid wash denim and pop your collar. You just pop that collar up, George. You could be a preppy. You could. There it is.
How you doing?
He's such a goof. Pew, pew. May the 4th be with you. We just had that. We love our Star Wars around these parts.
Which is my dad's birthday, May the 4th. I think you saw my post, but my dad's birthday was always May the 4th. So, of course, as a kid growing up after like 77, it was always, May the 4th be with Dad. So,
I love that post, by the way. Honoring our elders, man. We're really doing that on so many levels in this time of COVID-19. Let's go back to the polling joke that you just made. For some who maybe are sort of disengaged, a lot of people don't know what day it is. And when you're listening to this podcast, it doesn't much matter. It is George and Jody time for you. So let's talk about why we're frustrated with the idea of polling, George.
Are we drinking to 43 communication stuff right now? Because
are you kidding me?
The mayor just held a press conference, just out of a press conference, and swear to God, it was an announcement about nothing. I mean, he announced fast tracking or red tape reduction for housing developments for
big developers,
experienced developers. You read between the lines and he talked about rental but okay, housing, sure. Okay, housing, yeah. I mean, it's a problem. Although, right now there's probably 10% vacancy, right? It was unbelievable. I just think, you worked as a journalist for a long time. If there's a press conference being held, you generally want something to happen.
Where's the meat?
You don't want to be taken advantage of.
It was the Seinfeld episode of press conferences. It was a nothing burger. And he started and I was like, okay, because we're all waiting, right? We're waiting. And then it starts and he does the, honoring the unceded territory. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and, it's Mother's Day this weekend. So happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Yeah, which was, okay, that's fine. It's cute, but that's like 5 seconds. You should do that. But then he talked about moms. And they did a promo for some website, for some fundraising website, which I'm not sure who's behind that. But now does every, site get to promote it at this free press conference? And then now we're 5 minutes into this press conference. What do you got?
And then he
the
said,
provincial ones and the federal ones are like, they go right into it. Okay, yeah, thanks so much. I mean, sometimes Dr. Bonnie Henry's so fast. I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to get the number here.
The news organizations can't throw to her fast enough to catch the news off the top that tells us new cases, deaths,
too quick,
hospitalized, intensive care, recovery. Sometimes you're like, oh, and I think we're just, I think we're getting in tune with tuning in, getting what we need, and being able to go on with our day. And today I felt robbed.
There are so many things. I mean, first of all, who didn't know that press conference yesterday with the premier, which we'll talk about more, wasn't coming? We all could predict that things were going to loosen up, that there would be, Dr. Bonnie Henry alluded to it a couple of days earlier. So we kind of knew what was coming. And so it gave the opportunity for any city, any municipality to start thinking, okay, what should we prioritize as a city now that the regulations from the province are loosened up, and in fact that most of the regulations that any city followed were their own doing, and a lot of the things businesses did was their own doing. So they decided a lot of retail closed on their own accord, but the city closed down the restaurants and the bars and that kind of stuff, and the parks are all closed, and all these playgrounds and all these things are kind of shut down in the city. And so we're thinking, okay, it was a bit, actually the press conference yesterday was a bit confusing from the premier, but I was expecting, okay, here's the plan for the city, here are things that we're going to do, there's a motion coming next week, and there's a couple of motions coming to council next week, but I would say specifically, we're going to say no fees for restaurant patios for the next year. Okay, because clearly everybody wants to expand their restaurants onto the patios if they can. You could say we're going to allow parklets in front of every single restaurant for the next 6 months. We'll give you a kit. You put up in a parking spot, put a stop here, get the traffic flow to walk around the sidewalk or something, make it safe, and you can move your restaurant onto the sidewalk. Things like to give us some solutions. I mean, I'm going, where's the beef?
So you're kind of like inside baseball on the workings of City Hall, being a former Vancouver City Councillor. And so from my perspective, where I've not sort of lived the bureaucracy behind closed doors, it is a no-brainer for me. And sure, I don't know the stumbling blocks or the rules and regulations or the things that might handcuff me, but to look at our most vulnerable industries right now, and certainly restaurants come to mind because the razor thin margins that restaurateurs were already working at before this happened. And we look around the globe, and you've been posting them, I've been posting them, they're using public spaces, right? Give Romer's Burgers the opportunity to serve burgers in the park, or where the wings, Angel Wings, are 2 doors down in Kitsilano. Like, let them set up 10 tables there, 6 feet apart from each other, 2 meters apart from me, and then you can do that. And do the same thing. Like, let David Hawksworth have Vancouver Art Gallery front steps for a night, and then you switch it over to another great chef from down. Like, people will do that. They'll feel better about it. Our mental health will improve. Do it. Like, why isn't that just a no-brainer for the leaders in Vancouver to just look at us as a community and say, what can we do to give some relief to the people and to these businesses? What can we do?
Absolutely. And why wasn't Park Board there with him today to help, make some announcement about dog parks? Are they opening up this week? When are dog parks? Why are they ever closed for that matter? Because the dog parks just moved to the rest of the park. Why? What though?
The dog parks, most of the off-leash dog parks are still open. It was just the ones in the enclosures, the fenced in. Yeah.
Okay, but now
but they should open them. Yeah. And but people are gathering in them.
What are the rules for tennis courts? Like the press conference should have been the head of the park board and the mayor in Vancouver saying, this is what's happening. Now that we know what the province is saying, and as of this date, this is going to happen. We've got 2 motions coming to council next week. Both of them they're nice, but they both are saying report back from staff. I mean, oh my God, why
we
not?
We don't have time for that.
Specific. Like it's sunny out. It's going to be a nice hot weekend.
Yeah.
These restaurants are desperate. They've been out of business for 2 months.
And they have 3 months of this, George. We have May to June, June to July, July to August, and maybe half of August-ish before we start heading into flu season. And then guess what, guys? We go back into lockdown. We will go back into lockdown when flu season comes in. So we have a window of opportunity here. There's no time to delay for small businesses to open. And there should be the highest and best use tax should be waived for the next 3 months. Like,
absolutely.
Just take away all the exponentially extra shit, pardon me, that everybody has always paid because we had to. We're looking at it differently now. You're not in your office. You haven't been in your office in 7 weeks.
8 weeks, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're still paying for your office. Where's some relief for you? Where's some relief for you? There's got to be relief from you. And it shouldn't necessarily come from the federal government that's going to just keep doling out dough that all of us are going to have to repay. Why not just give you a break on something? By the way,
where's the revised budget? What?
Without even calling me back, my mortgage was deferred on Friday.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
2 months.
2 months. And all the way up the food chain twice. Yep. But I mean, it happened. But why do we have to fight so hard for I'm still going to pay my mortgage. I still have to pay the interest. I still have to do, just give me some relief.
You have to pay the amount at the end of the mortgage. It's not getting it free. So it's pretty simple for the banks. They get, anyways. So but why don't his announcement was about the whole, and I alluded to it in the opening, to do a poll asking people what they wanted to do in the city. There's only 2 polls that I know of that matter in politics, and that's, the one that you win on and the one you lose on. And right now, one is so every 4 years there's a poll, and that's the only poll he should be worried about. And I'm going to do another poll. I don't think the last one went off too well, buddy. And this next one, certainly people are going to go.
I don't even remember what the last one was, George. I don't even remember what it was.
Exactly. I can't remember either. And of course, it's going to be saying, well, who's paying for this poll? How much is this poll going to cost? $1 million, $500,000, $200,000, $20,000? Was it free? Where's the new budget? Where's the plan? You said we were going to be out of business, Mr. Mayor, a few weeks ago. Now what's happening? Where's the new revised budget? What's going on?
So going back to the poll, I know, God, George, I'm with you. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because we need leadership and we need communication from our leader in this city in particular. And that the weekly press conference needs to stop if it's going to be a nothing burger. What really got me about this polling is, guess what a poll is? Open the business as per the specs put forward by Dr. Bonnie Henry, Adrian Dix, our BC Health Minister, and our Premier. Open accordingly in Vancouver and let the people come. There's your poll. If the business doesn't work, if it doesn't thrive, guess what? That's a business that Vancouver doesn't need open. The doors will close because you need to make ends meet. You're going to find out. Don't wait 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, whatever it's going to take to do a poll. It's just, it really, really bugged me to watch sort of a giggly levity. Suddenly it's like, well, nothing's changed. Nothing's fixed. There are no answers here. There's no relief to be found here.
No, not in the roles and responsibilities of the city of Vancouver. I did not hear anything that he's providing except for speeding up this construction of housing, which is always an issue. But right now, that's not the issue. We have the health issue, which he could have perhaps provided some solutions in that realm, but obviously not the roles and responsibilities of a city. But now, the key role of the responsibility is helping is taxation and administration of our streets and our sidewalks, which are right now the most important thing that they could probably do for small business, especially restaurants, but any retailer, frankly, who has a street front, and you have limited numbers of people who can go into the store. If you want to put your wares outside, you're not allowed. You're not allowed. You got to get a permit. If you do it, you're defying the regulation. So at least say, you know what? We're not going to look at any of that stuff. Go ahead. Great. Do whatever you want. If you do something that's dangerous to people, like if you put your restaurant right out to the edge of the sidewalk and people can't walk past, you can't do that. But you can if you can put your restaurant out so there's enough room for people to walk by, and it's in the zone of your restaurant, go for it. Do it. That's the only announcement I wanted to hear today. Like, just do it. Survive. That's all you need to do.
I'm with you.
All we're here for.
Hopefully somebody hears you. Hopefully somebody hears you here on UnSpun Podcast. By the way, follow George on Twitter. Of course you do. George _ Affleck. I'm at Jody Vance, and you can follow at UnSpun Podcast. Of course you're reading the Orca, because never has local news been more important to you, to me, to us than it is right now. Subscribe to the Fin. I've got a lot of friends of mine who have all of a sudden decided to subscribe to the Fin, and they love that every morning, every weekday morning, they wake up to a curated list of must-read stuff, and then you can go about your day. You can go and do what you need to do, knowing what the need-to-know stuff is, and McLean K does.
From all major media, media, no bias, providing that just as a service. It's great.
Yes. There's no cost associated with it. Your information is not sold. You go to the orca.ca and you put in your email address. You sign up for the Fin. That's it. And you'll get my column in there every Wednesday. Our UnSpun Podcast and the column is in there. I love how he sets us up too. It's very funny. We'll get back to my column in a sec, but I want to talk specifically about the announcement from Premier John Horgan, Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry, and BC Health Minister Adrian Dix, who all have been incredibly forthcoming throughout this pandemic, throughout this unprecedented time. But the communication piece has been really something. And the hints that Dr. Bonnie gave last week and on Saturday, and then Adrian Dix came on with me. I do a COVID-19 special on CKNW from 2 to 4 every Sunday until I don't. The only job that I've ever wanted to get fired from is not one when it's not needed anymore.
I'm looking forward to that layoff.
Right? I am too. But until then, I love the fact that Adrian Dix has been on with me every week that I've done it. I'm week 4. Good. Week 5 coming up. So he's always there and available. What did you think of how the Premier laid out what clearly the modeling showed we're prepared for in the 60%?
Well, 2 things. One is I think there are some journalists that are frustrated by the system and they don't feel it's as transparent currently. Like the phone thing is a bit challenging, right? So there are reporters who feel like they're being pushed aside, and they're quite vocal about it. So it's not perfect. And so I'm not going to say this has been going perfect as a communications approach, but I think there are challenges with the technology. As far as the announcement yesterday, so I watched it, and to be honest, I was quite confused at the beginning.
Were you?
Yeah, I was going, okay, hold on. What is being announced, and when does it start? It was the way he presented it. And I think that was the difference between Horgan and the way Adrian Dix does it, and the regular press conferences. He doesn't do anything. He kind of comes on and says a little opener, and then he hands it off to her. I think the Premier took too much on his hands of presenting the information. Because of course the politicians don't generally, they don't write that stuff.
No.
What? It's written by competent staff, and there are a lot of them in government. And so they put that strategy together. They presented it to him. And now he's presented to us. But I felt like it was a bit like, okay, what phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Okay, we're in phase 1, but when does phase 2 start? What, next week, the 15th? Or are you saying tomorrow we can do this, or now? Or,
you know what, I got to agree with you.
I'm pretty sure people are doing this already.
He kept saying the long weekend. He kept saying the long weekend. And this is always the weirdest one. When it comes to, it's like, it's Mother's Day. Is it long weekend? Is it?
Yeah. And right now I feel
2 weeks from now.
We're living in that long weekend our entire lives. That's why I feel like I'm living in some kind of Groundhog Day long weekend of never going to work again. And I'm working, but I feel like it's so weird. But I don't know what, you said about the date today. This is one of the things that keeps me focused on what day it is every week. Okay, Thursdays we record. No,
that's it.
I gotta keep track of Thursday.
Well, I'm glad you do.
Yeah, because it's good. It's almost Friday, which is the real weekend. Which then, of course, I work on Saturdays now and Sundays because everything's here at home, and I'm like, so yeah, the long weekend thing. So I found it a bit confusing, but of course, the information was all great. I mean, we're heading happy days. At least we're opening up a little bit, and again, I think it was happening organically anyway. So people just compare, as I said last week. You compare it from a few weeks ago where there's nobody in the streets. It was like, now it was sort of getting people out. People were going to their offices. You could see the traffic. But it's nice to make it official. What was depressing was the international flights. I mean, no international flights till.
Well, I'm going to stay local for a second. No, I'm going to stay local for a second. We'll get international in a minute. But even watching federal news, watching CBC, National News Network, or Global National, or whatever your news source is, how we only kind of get little snippets from out here compared to the big smoke center of the universe, or even the provinces that happen to be making the most noise at the time. And here we are, and when we have 8 new cases, I was so excited by 8 new cases. Like, maybe it's because my mom was a scientist and I kind of glom on to the science of it. Like, my fear factor, my anxiety as an individual who's got, my dad's in a home, my mom and my stepdad are in their early 80s, both with underlying health issues. I've got a 12-year-old who should be graduating from elementary school in a month. My significant other is a chef. He was laid off in like day 1 from this. I'm in media, so I'm inundated with it all the time. I got friends who are conspiracy theorists wearing tinfoil hats that I just can't even believe. It's just, and just hearing the science from Dr. Bonnie Henry and her telling me that we are today, as of yesterday, where we were, statistically speaking, with COVID-19 cases, where we were before we locked down. And that gives me like, okay, whatever we're doing in this crazy time is really working. So now we need to be smart. And I love the messaging in it because it is confusing. It's like, when is it happening? And how are we doubling our bubble? And who, what, we need to open. And all I kept going back to was, we need to keep social distancing. We need to keep washing our hands. We need to keep not touching our faces. And when we do double our bubble, we are doubling our bubble kind of like back in the 80s when you had a new lover, you're sleeping with everybody they ever slept with. Now you're interacting with people. Everybody that they've interacted with is now part of your chain, and you have to keep that in mind.
30 to 60% or something, right? That's kind of.
We're going from 30 to 60 without the curve doing this again, and I'm like, okay, so who's in my doubled bubble, right?
This podcast, are we in there? No, do I make?
We are. You're in, but I mean that's the thing. It's like looking at the little. Well, we can doomsday the shit out of this, or we can start looking for some of the reasons why over just the next 4 months, like as I said before, a vaccine or an antiviral, it's wishful thinking for the fall.
Really is. Could be 4 years.
It could be 4 years. It could be 18 months. It could be 24 months. We don't know. But what we know is it's probably going to ebb and flow. And once we have flu season, for the love of God, even if it's hay fever, stay home. Stay home. Don't go out. If you've got any type of symptom, that's where we're at, so that the rest of us can go out.
Yeah, there was an interesting question. If a reporter asked Dr. Henry about why are we, about Sweden? And she said, well, actually, we're not too far from what Sweden has been doing, to be honest. She said, we never closed down construction. We never closed down industrial workers. We didn't shut down a lot of things, unlike other Ontario and Quebec, which did.
Yeah.
We never had to do that, which is, thank God for our basic
spring
economy
break.
of those people working and the spring break. But no, it's just also this certain mentality of fear that I think that and maybe it's a population base of those two provinces that required it, or maybe it didn't. I mean, how many, you can see the hot zones and the hot issues, like you see the meat packing plants, you see the seniors' homes. We haven't heard about a construction site having a challenge or where suddenly there's a breakout. We haven't heard that.
No.
Because in a lot of ways, those guys do they don't really work next to each other, and they wear a lot of equipment already, as they do in industrial manufacturing companies. So it was interesting, her comment on that, because everybody thinks Sweden's been like wide open, which is not true. In fact, they've closed colleges and high schools, and they have the social distancing and
Stockholm was really open, and the rest of the country was rather not. And I liked it. You pointed out the leader who had said off the hop, it's like, we're not asking people to do what we're doing. We're telling them this is what we're doing. And if you're in Stockholm and you choose to sit on a patio at a bar and interact and not socially distance, okay, because they can manage just that.
Exactly. And they also would say it's your responsibility. And you think about your grandparents, your parents, and if you're going to go out there and take that risk, you're taking the risk for your own family. And
that's the biggie.
Swedes are fairly pragmatic people, and I think they have big numbers. That I think it's 5 times the other 2 Nordic countries, but I think their population is also a lot larger. And I'm not sure if that's a ratio or what that is, but it's and we don't. Again, we've talked about this: the long term, short term, all those things. We won't know how good our decisions were wherever you are until this is over. And we'll go, okay, that place did a really good thing. And then in some ways, it doesn't really matter because the next virus will be different. It'll be a different one, and we'll have to deal with that one differently. I mean, this is a horrible virus, but it could have been much worse, as we all know.
I'm really glad that our community outbreaks are very minimal. Like you said, it's the meat packing plants, it's the federal prison, and it's at care facilities, and that's tragic. Like it is it's a humongous red flag globally that the way we care for our elders needs to be overhauled, to say the least. But they are the most vulnerable.
But they found the solution. Why? It was staff going from facility to facility,
one to the other. No doubt. Let's talk about schools a little bit. If you were a teacher right now,
I am. Aren't you?
I am. But would you send your 11-year-old to school?
I probably. I mean, I think the risk is for him is not, that high. He's 12. Now the question is, we've always been staying clear from grandma. She's 75, and so she's been self-isolating since this all started. So I haven't seen her since this, and it's Amanda's mom, and so that would continue obviously if he's at school. I think what I've heard though is that teachers are torn on this one. They're going, because they have their are you a first responder? Are you not a first responder? What is your role as a teacher? And in fact, the teaching is going on. I mean, they have the school online, and frankly, I'm actually taking my kid back to some of the basics that he missed, taking this opportunity to say, we didn't really get that times table thing worked out. Let's focus on that for the next while.
Smart.
It's good. But there's lots of projects. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a lot of project work for this thing.
My kid has the best teacher. He has like maximum 80 minutes a day, maximum of this. Wow. He's like, you need to bake something every week. You need to cook something every week. He does riddles. And you got to do your math, right? Like they're doing surfaces, areas. It's a real estate thing, actually. Those types of projects, you got to find properties and figure out the cost per square foot, and then you got to find the average cost per square foot over 5 different areas. Like he's like, Mom, I'm using this realty site, and what a pain in the butt. He doesn't like how long the addresses are in Newton. Anyway,
maybe he can do statistics and do some polling.
Maybe he could get a job with the communications department in the city of Vancouver. Oh my Lord. Okay. So quickly, we've only got like 4 minutes left here. Trump's personal valet tested positive for coronavirus.
Interesting. I mean, that's pretty close. That's close
in the White House.
Melania gets probably that guy.
Melania's nowhere near that guy.
I know she's probably in some other building. Yeah, that's close contact. That guy, I'm not sure if it's like, when you see the royalty getting, the ties and jackets put on and all that stuff, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
I'd like to talk to that valet because, those ties getting a little shorter, bring that up about 2 inches, will you?
Isn't that just, oh my God.
That puts him really at risk. And
well, guess what? Science doesn't care. Doesn't care who you are. Doesn't care where you live. That virus will come at you. It's not the foe that you can bully on Twitter. It is just something else. So, you never wish anybody ill, but it kind of is that, like, I bet Mike Pence will wear his mask now. Right? Because his whole thing is we get tested morning, noon, and night. We're fine. I don't need to wear a mask in the Mayo Clinic. It's like, put the mask on.
Take the sign down, boys.
Oh my God.
He's not wearing a mask. Untweet that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no,
okay.
It's madness out there. But, we'll see if that has an effect on Trump. Maybe he's one of those people that's immune to all things, including hamburgers causing heart attacks. That he's none of his McDonald's rumors that he eats McDonald's 4 times a day or something. I'm sure I'd probably be dead if I did that. No offense, McDonald's, but you're not sponsoring it, so,
If Amanda were in the room right now, she'd be like, cut that out. No. Supersize me. It's awesome. I love a McDonald's French fry. Traveling internationally, how are the extending of the closure of the Canada-US border for another 30 days or whatever, Air Canada not flying to the United States until whatever it was, May 30th, unless that border closure is extended, which I can't see it being lifted. We're doing this
because of America more than us.
Totally.
It's totally chaos down there as far as every state's doing their own thing, and everybody seems,
protests.
I have
armed protests.
I've got a trip booked in October. We'll see.
Where are you going?
To California for a little holiday, but
I don't think so. Hey, you want to talk about my middle? I found out something really cool. Okay, so this is really cool. I doing the CKNW COVID-19 special on Sundays. Another shameless plug, 2 to 4 every Sunday on CKNW. This week, Keith Baldry's so great. He's my regular guest off the top of the show. And then we talked to Reggie Cicchini. Thank you. Reggie Cicchini, our Washington Bureau reporter for Global National, joins me after to give us the international look. And then Keith suggested that I have BC Agriculture Minister Alana Popham on. And she came on, and we were talking about food security and should we be worried in empty shelves and what does that look like? And poultry, even though those are federal facilities, what does that mean? Should we be worried? People are talking about shortages, especially like, oh my God, beef. And it's like, because they're listening to US news that they think that's what's happening here. It's not the same here, especially in the agricultural mecca that we find ourselves in during growing season. We could literally, for the next 3 months, not go to a grocery store and feed our families.
Markets. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're an essential service. I did not know that. Dr. Bonnie Henry, the BC farmers markets are essential services. And right now, it's a way for farmers to get their wares to the people because there's a lot of excess on farms because restaurants aren't going farm to table, right? So we need to tell our farmers, we'll take your perfect, what's up first? We get, arugula now, and then comes the strawberries, and then we get into blueberries, and then we get into tomatoes and peaches, and oh my God, eat all the things. Yeah. And I love a farmer's market, but they're going to look different. And Lana Popham said, the minister said, you can do it online now. Oh. It's all in my middle. All the links are there. It is genius. You go online, you shop for what you want, you go to your farmer's market of choice, you let them know your location, whatever, Kitsilano, and you go to the main market. It's all one way. You don't go with your family. You don't bring your dog. There's no taste testers. There's hand washing stations. It's a COVID-19 farmer's market.
So no gin tasting.
No gin tasting. Not this time, my friend. You have to bring that in the flask in your pocket.
Yes.
Little nip of that. You got it. But when you go there, you literally go to the main farmer's area and they've got and you tap and you take and you go. And the farmer loves it because he doesn't need you to peruse and maybe buy his tomatoes or her tomatoes. Right.
And touching it all too, which people are afraid about, even though there's no data that shows that that's a problem. But people, touch.
Touchy, tasty, sample. Don't bring your dog. Don't bring your kids, but definitely go to the farmer's market.
Don't bring my cats.
Don't bring your cats. And there's also meetme.ca. That's another very hyper local. So it's all about buy BC. You want to open our economy. You want to support our economy. How about we buy BC specific? Just let's do that. Meetme.ca is a
1 mile diet concept. These guys are a lot of them are within, close distance. So yeah, 100%.
Spitting distance. They're 5 iron, George.
Bring it around.
Extra. We read all about it. The Orca.ca is where you'll find it. Sign up for the Fin and it'll land in your inbox every Friday morning. It lands in there because it comes out on Wednesday all by itself. My middle. There you go.
That's right.
Any final words? What else do we want? What's the mantra of today? Open the patios. And loosen the liquor laws.
Loosen the laws. Let me get out. Let us get these restaurants survive, and let small business give small business something. All cities across this province need to. Some are doing it, but some aren't. And I'm going, as a small business owner, it's tough when half your rent, for example, is going to taxes. They need to look at small business because 75% of the businesses in this city are small businesses. So
we need many faces in big spaces. Yes. Take care of the people. I'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.